The phone vibrates against my desk, my mother's name flashing on the screen like a warning sign. I let it ring 4 times, each buzz drilling into my skull before I finally answer. Millie, darling, have you heard the news about Rachel? Her voice carries that familiar breathless excitement reserved exclusively for my sister's accomplishments. I glance at the promotion letter sitting on my desk, the one I'd been planning to share. No, Mother. What news? She's been offered a partnership at Anderson and Mills. Can you believe it? At her age, your father and I are absolutely over the moon. The words tumble out in a rush, each syllable another nail in my coffin of invisibility. That's wonderful. I trace the embossed letterhead of my own achievement, the words Chief Technology Officer swimming before my eyes. Actually, Mother, I wanted to tell you. Oh, and that's not even the best part. James proposed last night. We're planning an engagement party for next weekend. You'll need to clear your schedule, of course. My fingers curl around the promotion letter, crumpling its edges. Next weekend? I have Lucas that weekend. Ben's out of town and, well, surely you can find someone to watch him. This is your sister's engagement we're talking about. You know how important family is. Family. The word tastes bitter in my mouth. Right, family. Speaking of which, Rachel mentioned you've been doing well at that little startup of yours. Maybe you could help with some of the wedding expenses? Your father's investments haven't been performing as expected, and Rachel deserves something special. The letter in my hand tears slightly under my grip. 5 years of climbing the corporate ladder, of juggling single motherhood with 60-hour work weeks, reduced to that little startup and an ATM opportunity. I'll have to check my finances, I say, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. The divorce and Lucas's therapy sessions have been expensive. Oh, Millie. Her sigh carries years of disappointment. If you'd just tried harder with Ben, Rachel always said he seemed unhappy. Of course she did. Rachel, who'd spent countless dinner parties flirting with my then-husband while I was busy taking care of Lucas's meltdowns. Rachel, who'd known about Sophie months before I did but never said a word. I should go, Mother. I have a meeting. Don't forget about next weekend. And please wear something professional. The Anderson and Mills partners will be there. The call ends, but the silence that follows feels louder than her words. I stare at my reflection in the darkened computer screen. 31 years old, successful by any objective measure, yet still searching for approval in all the wrong places. My phone buzzes again, this time with a text from Sarah. Drinks tonight? Michael's watching the kids. Before I can respond, an email notification pops up. It's from the company board, announcing my promotion to the entire staff. Congratulations flood my inbox, colleagues stopping by my office with genuine smiles and warm words. Jack from marketing brings me my favorite coffee, a small post-it note stuck to the cup. They finally recognized what we all knew. Proud of you, Mills. I look at the torn promotion letter, then at Sarah's text, and finally at the family photo on my desk. Just Lucas and me at the beach last summer, both of us laughing at something long forgotten. The image blurs as tears prick my eyes, but for the first time today, they're not tears of frustration. I pick up my phone and text Sarah back. Definitely, I have news, and maybe an idea. Because here's the thing about being invisible. No one sees you coming. And after 31 years of playing the overlooked daughter, the forgiving sister, the dutiful ex-wife, maybe it's time to show them exactly who I've become. I smooth out the crumpled promotion letter and pin it to my wall, right next to Lucas's latest artwork. Let them keep underestimating me. Let them think I'm still that malleable, eager-to-please daughter. They'll learn soon enough. The wine glass trembles slightly in Sarah's hand as she processes what I've just told her. We're tucked away in our usual corner of Maxwell's, the Friday night crowd providing perfect cover for conversations better left unheard. $10,000. Sarah's whisper carries equal parts disbelief and outrage. For wedding flowers? That's just the deposit. I take a long sip of my martini. Mother called it a small contribution to Rachel's perfect day. And what did you say? I told her I'd think about it. The olive in my glass becomes suddenly fascinating. What else could I say? Sarah sets her wine down with more force than necessary. How about no? You're still paying off Lucas's occupational therapy, and Ben's child support payments are always late. They're my family, Sarah. Are they? Her voice softens. Because from where I'm sitting, They treat you more like their personal bank than their daughter. Before I can respond, my phone lights up with a text from Rachel. Hey sis, Mom said you're helping with the flowers. You're the best. Coffee tomorrow? Need to discuss some other wedding details. Sarah reads the message over my shoulder and makes a sound somewhere between a laugh and a scoff. Funny how she never wanted coffee when you were going through your divorce. The truth of it stings. I remember those endless nights, Lucas crying for his father while I tried to explain why Daddy lived with Aunt Sophie now. Rachel had been too busy with her law career to return my calls. I should go, I say, gathering my things. Lucas has therapy at 9 tomorrow. Millie, Sarah catches my wrist. Promise me you'll at least talk to Michael about the numbers before you commit to anything. He's good at finding the holes in these things. I promise, knowing I probably won't. The drive home is a blur of streetlights and memories, Rachel's law school graduation, where our parents gifted her a new car, my own graduation dinner, interrupted by Rachel's surprise announcement of her first internship. Lucas is already asleep when I get home, Michael having dropped him off earlier. His favorite dinosaur tucked under one arm. He looks so peaceful, so untouched by the complexities of adult relationships. I brush his hair back, wondering if my parents ever watched me sleep like this, if they ever felt this fierce need to protect. My phone buzzes again. This time it's my father. Millicent, he starts, using my full name like he always does when he wants something. Your mother mentioned you were hesitating about the flowers. I wasn't hesitating, Father. I was being practical. 10,000 is a lot of money. This is your sister's wedding. Surely your startup is doing well enough to help family? The dismissive pause before startup makes my teeth clench. We just secured Series B funding, but that doesn't mean... Excellent. Then it's settled. Your mother will connect you with the florist. Oh, and Rachel mentioned your meeting tomorrow. She has some thoughts about the venue deposit as well. The call ends before I can respond. I stand in Lucas's doorway, watching his chest rise and fall, thinking about the college fund I've been struggling to build for him, about the therapy sessions that insurance won't cover, about Rachel's designer wardrobe and my father's country club membership. My phone pings one last time. It's Jack from work. Hey Mills, board wants to announce your promotion at next month's investor meeting. They're excited about the PR angle, female CTO, single mom, real inspiration stuff. You okay with that? And suddenly, I see it. The leverage I've been missing. The way to make them finally see me. I text Rachel back, coffee sounds great, looking forward to discussing everything. Then I open my laptop and start researching my company's biggest investors. It takes less than an hour to find what I'm looking for. The connection between Anderson and Mills and our venture capital firm. The partnership offer Rachel's so proud of. The one our parents can't stop bragging about. The one that could disappear with a single well-placed comment at next month's investor meeting. I close the laptop feeling something shift inside me. Not guilt, exactly. More like recognition. Of power. Of possibility. I'm sorry, baby. I whisper to Lucas's sleeping form. But sometimes Mommy has to play by their rules to change the game. Tomorrow, I'll smile over coffee with Rachel. I'll nod at her plans and pretend to take notes about venues and deposits. And I'll start laying the groundwork for something my family never saw coming. Because they taught me well. Family helps family. They just never specified how. The engagement party invitation sits on my desk like a beautifully wrapped bomb. Cream-colored cardstock, gold lettering, and there in the corner, a tiny note in my mother's handwriting. Sophie will be attending with Ben. Please be civil. Civil. As if I'm the one who needs the reminder. I'm still staring at it when Jack knocks on my office door. Emergency meeting with the board in 10. Apparently, Anderson and Mills is making waves about our latest acquisition. My fingers trace the edge of the invitation. Rachel's firm? Yeah. Weird timing, right? They've never shown interest in our deals before. I slip the invitation into my drawer, something cold and certain settling in my chest. Weird indeed. The boardroom is tense when I arrive. Our CEO looks like he's aged 10 years since yesterday. Millie, good. We need damage control. Anderson and Mills is threatening to block our merger unless we restructure the deal. They're claiming conflict of interest. On what grounds? Your sister. He slides a document across the table. Rachel Carter is listed as lead counsel on their objection. The room goes quiet. I scan the document, my sister's signature bold at the bottom. The same signature I've watched her practice since we were kids. perfecting every loop until it looked exactly like our mother's. I can handle this, I say, my voice steadier than my hands. Later that afternoon, my phone rings. Ben's number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but Lucas's therapy bills flash through my mind. "You're late with the payment again," I answer. "Yeah, about that." His voice has that smooth quality it always gets when he's about to disappoint someone. "Sophie and I are putting money down on a house. I might need to adjust the payment schedule." Adjust? The word tastes like acid. Lucas's therapy isn't optional, Ben. "Come on, Mills. You're doing well at that tech thing. And with Rachel's wedding coming up?" "What does Rachel's wedding have to do with your son's care?" A pause. "Sophie mentioned you're handling the flowers. 10 grand, right? If you can afford that." The laugh that escapes me doesn't sound entirely sane. "You're using my sister's wedding flowers to justify shorting your child support?" "Don't be dramatic. I'm just saying—" "No, I'll tell you what I'm saying. You'll make the full payment on time, or I'll have my lawyer contact Anderson and Mills about revisiting the custody arrangement. I'm sure Rachel would love to handle that case too." The silence that follows is satisfying until he breaks it with, "Sophie's pregnant." The world tilts sideways. I grip my desk, wedding invitation sliding from the drawer as I steady myself. "Congratulations," I manage. "The payment is due Tuesday." I end the call and text Sarah. "Need you? Now." She responds immediately. "On my way. Michael's got the kids." I'm still sitting there when Jack returns. "Hey, the board wants to know how you want to handle the Rachel situation. Jesus, Mills, you're white as a sheet." "I'm fine." I stand, smoothing my skirt. "Tell them I'll present a strategy tomorrow. And Jack, could you pull everything we have on Anderson and Mills's partner track requirements, specifically their conflict of interest policies?" He gives me an odd look, but nods. Sarah arrives as I'm gathering my things. One look at my face, and she wraps me in a hug that nearly breaks me. "Sophie's pregnant," I whisper into her shoulder. "Oh, honey." "And Rachel's trying to block my company's merger." She pulls back, eyes sharp. "What are you going to do?" I think about the invitation in my drawer, about Lucas's therapy sessions, about Ben's new house and baby and perfect Sophie, about Rachel's partnership track and my parents' pride. "I'm going to attend my sister's engagement party," I say, picking up my bag. "And I'm going to smile and congratulate Ben and Sophie. And then I'm going to remind my family exactly who they've been underestimating all these years." Sarah studies me for a long moment. "Just remember Lucas in all this." "I am." I touch the photo of him on my desk. Everything I do is for him. And maybe it's time he saw his mother stand up for herself. As we leave, I send a quick text to my mother. "About the flowers, I'll handle everything. And don't worry about Ben and Sophie, I'll be perfectly civil." Because that's the thing about civility. It's the perfect cover for warfare. And I've just been handed all the ammunition I need. The engagement party feels like a carefully choreographed dance of daggers. Crystal glasses catch the light, conversations buzz with artificial warmth, and there in the center of it all stands Rachel, radiant in designer white, while Sophie rests one manicured hand on her still flat stomach. "Millie." My mother's voice carries that familiar note of criticism. "You're late. Lucas's therapy ran long." I accept a glass of champagne from a passing waiter, noting how my mother's eyes narrow at the mention of her grandson. "Where's father?" Discussing the Anderson and Mills situation with Rachel's partners. She lowers her voice. "Really, Millicent, couldn't you have handled that merger more discreetly? It's putting Rachel in such an awkward position." Before I can respond, Jack appears at my elbow. "Sorry to interrupt, Mrs. Carter, but I need to borrow Millie for a moment. Board emergency." My mother's dismissive wave follows us as Jack guides me to a quiet corner. "You need to see this." He hands me his phone, displaying an email thread. Rachel's not just blocking the merger. She's suggesting a hostile takeover through one of Anderson and Mills's clients. The champagne turns bitter in my mouth. She wouldn't. There's more. Jack scrolls down. The partner overseeing the deal, Tom Carter. My father, of course. Across the room, Ben laughs at something Sophie says, his hand protective over her abdomen. Rachel joins them, all three heads bent together in conspiratorial intimacy. "What's our play?" Jack asks. "Give me an hour." I hand him back his phone. "And Jack? Thank you. For everything." He squeezes my arm before disappearing into the crowd. I find Michael by the bar, his steady presence an anchor in the storm. Where's Sarah? Home with Lucas. He was asking for you. Michael studies my face. What's wrong? I need a favor. I tell him about the takeover attempt, about my father's involvement. Can you look into Anderson and Mills's financials, specifically any connections to Carter family investments? Jesus, Millie. He runs a hand through his hair. This isn't just business anymore. This is your family. They stopped being family the moment I catch myself as Rachel approaches. Millie, I've been looking everywhere for you. Her smile is perfect, practiced. We need to discuss the venue deposit. Mother says you're handling it? Actually, I set down my glass. We need to discuss Anderson and Mills. Her smile flickers. That's just business, sis. Nothing personal. Like Sophie wasn't personal? The words hang between us, sharp and dangerous. Rachel's mask slips just for a moment, revealing something that looks almost like guilt. You don't understand, she whispers. Father's investments. The wedding. We need this deal. And suddenly everything clicks into place. The desperate grab for the merger, the rushed wedding plans, the constant demands for money. My family isn't just greedy, they're drowning. Miss Carter? A young associate appears. Your father needs you both in the study, immediately. The study is father's domain, all leather and mahogany and old money pretense. He stands at his desk, mother perched anxiously nearby. Shut the door, he commands. I do, feeling like I'm 10 years old again, about to be scolded for some imagined slight against Rachel. The merger, he begins, must go through, under our terms. Or what? The words escape before I can stop them. Or this family loses everything. He spreads documents across his desk. Bank statements, investment reports, all bleeding red. Your sister's partnership, the house, your mother's social standing, all of it depends on this deal. And Lucas's trust fund, Rachel adds quietly, the one Ben set up through father's firm. The room spins slightly. You put my son's money into your failing investments? We had no choice, mother interjects. Rachel's wedding, her career trajectory, we had to maintain appearances. I look at them, these people who share my blood but not my values, who gambled with my child's future to maintain their facade of success. I'll have my answer tomorrow, I say, turning to leave. Millicent, father's voice stops me. Remember where your loyalties lie. I think of Lucas, waiting at home with Sarah, of Jack, who believed in me when no one else did, of the life I've built despite them, not because of them. I remember exactly where my loyalties lie, I say, and close the door behind me. In my car, I text Michael, start digging, I want everything. Because some loyalties need to be broken before they break you. Michael's research arrives at 3 a.m, a detailed email that makes my hands shake. I forward it to Jack with 2 words, board meeting. By dawn, I'm in my office, staring at the skyline as the sun bleeds across the horizon. The door opens without a knock. You can't do this, Rachel says, still in her evening wear from whatever society function she's attended. Father will never recover. Like Lucas won't recover from losing his trust fund? I don't turn around. How long have you known about the embezzlement? Her silence is answer enough. Did Sophie know too? Is that why she stayed with Ben after the affair? Because father was funneling company money through his accounts? It's not that simple. Rachel's heels click across the floor. Everything father did, he did for us, for the family name. No. I finally face her. Everything he did for you. And now you want me to save him by tanking my company's merger. We can make it work. She pulls out a folder. I have a proposal if you'll just... Miss Carter? Jack appears in the doorway. The board is ready. Rachel grabs my arm as I pass. Please, don't do this. For a moment, I see past the designer dress and perfect makeup to the little sister who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. Then I remember Lucas's therapy bills, Ben's late payments, my parents' constant dismissal. You should call father, I say. The SEC will be visiting Anderson and Mills this afternoon. The boardroom falls silent as I enter. These people trusted me, promoted me, believed in me when my own family wouldn't. I won't let them down. The merger is compromised. I begin, laying out Michael's findings. Anderson and Mills has been covering illegal transactions through shell companies. My voice catches. I feel Jack's supportive presence beside me. Thomas Carter has been orchestrating it for years. The evidence is irrefutable. Board members exchange glances. My phone buzzes repeatedly. Mother, father, Ben. I ignore them all. We'll need to distance ourselves immediately, our CEO says. Millie, given your connection, I understand. I slide a folder across the table. My resignation, effective immediately. Actually, he shares a look with the other board members. We had something else in mind. Hours later, I pull into Sarah's driveway. Lucas runs out, throwing himself into my arms. Mommy, Aunt Sarah let me have pizza for breakfast. Sarah appears in the doorway, concern etched on her face. Michael told me what happened. Are you okay? No. I hug Lucas tighter. But I will be. My phone rings again. Rachel. This time I answer. They're arresting him, she sobs. Father's being arrested, and Mother's having a breakdown, and it's all over the news, and... Rachel. My voice is steady, surprising even me. I have to go. Lucas needs dinner. How can you be so cold? We're your family. No. I watch Lucas showing Sarah his latest drawing. You're the people who used my son's trust fund to cover up fraud, who used my company to fix your mistakes, who never once... I swallow hard. Who never once put me first. The board made you CEO, didn't they? Her voice turns hard. This was your plan all along. Goodbye, Rachel. Inside, Lucas chatters about his day while Sarah makes coffee. My phone lights up with a text from Jack. Press conference tomorrow at 9. You ready for this? Another text arrives from Ben. We need to talk about Lucas's custody arrangement. Then Mother. How could you do this to your father? Finally, Father. You'll regret this betrayal. I silence my phone and sit at Sarah's kitchen table, watching Lucas color. He looks up, smiling that innocent smile that makes everything worth it. Mommy, are you sad? No, baby. I touch his cheek. I'm just thinking about choices. Like when you choose pizza or hamburgers. Something like that. I pull him close, breathing in his clean, sweet scent. Sometimes you have to choose between what's easy and what's right. Sarah squeezes my shoulder as she sets down coffee. You chose right, Mills. My phone screen lights up one last time. A news alert about Anderson and Mills, about my father, about the new CEO appointment at my company, about choices and consequences and the price of truth. I turn the phone face down. Tomorrow will bring its own battles. Tonight is for pizza and coloring and the family I chose, not the one I was born into. Sometimes revenge looks like justice, and sometimes justice looks like walking away. The hospital ceiling swims in and out of focus as I try to make sense of the doctor's words. Stress-induced collapse, severe exhaustion, mandatory rest. Jack stands in the doorway, his usual confidence replaced by worry. The press conference. Can wait, Sarah interrupts, adjusting my IV. She needs rest. My phone lights up. Rachel's name again. I've lost count of her calls since Father's arrest 3 days ago. The room spins when I try to reach for it. Lucas, I manage to whisper. Who's with Lucas? Michael has him, Sarah assures me. But your parents? No. The word comes out sharper than intended. They can't have him. They're his grandparents, Mills, and with you here... The door opens, and Mother sweeps in, perfectly coiffed despite everything. Millicent, really. Hospitalized right before Rachel's business launch. The timing is incredibly inconvenient. Sarah's hand tightens on the bed rail. Jack mutters something about getting coffee and escapes. Mother, I try to sit up, fighting the dizziness. I need you to watch Lucas, just for a few days. Oh, darling. She adjusts her designer scarf. We simply can't. Rachel needs us at the launch. It's crucial for rebuilding our reputation after what you did to your father. The monitor beside me beeps faster. What I did? Well, if you hadn't been so vindictive. But that's not important now. We've arranged for Lucas to stay with Ben and Sophie. They're expecting their own child, after all. It'll be good practice. The room goes cold. You did what? Ben's already picked him up from Michael. Sophie's so good with children, and really, it's better for Lucas to be with stable parents right now. I rip the IV from my arm, ignoring the sharp sting. You had no right. Actually, Ben appears in the doorway. I had every right. My lawyer filed for emergency custody an hour ago. Given your current state and the scandal with your family, The floor seems to tilt beneath me as I stand. Sarah grabs my elbow, steadying me. Where is my son? Safe, Ben says. With Sophie, away from all this mess you've created. My legs give out. Sarah catches me before I hit the floor, helping me back to the bed. The room spins violently. It's temporary, Ben continues, almost gentle. Until you're better. Sophie's already enrolled him in a new therapy program. One that won't embarrass the family, Mother adds. Really, Millicent? Art therapy? What would people think? I look at them. My mother in her perfect outfit, Ben in his expensive suit, and see strangers. People who've taken everything, piece by piece, and still want more. Get out. My voice shakes. Both of you. Millie, Ben starts. Get out. They leave. Mother's heels clicking a sharp rhythm, Ben's cologne lingering like a threat. Sarah pulls out her phone. I'm calling Michael. We'll get him back, Mills. Don't. I close my eyes against the tears. They'll use any interference against me in court. You know they will. The silence that follows is broken only by the steady beep of monitors. Jack returns. Coffee forgotten. The board, he says quietly. They're reconsidering your position, with everything happening. Of course they are. Father's arrest, my collapse, the custody battle about to explode across headlines. I've become a liability to the very company I helped build. My phone buzzes again. Rachel. I'm sorry about Lucas, but you brought this on yourself. Then Mother. It's for the best, darling. Sophie will be a wonderful influence. Finally, Ben. We'll take good care of him. Maybe this time apart will help you reflect. I think of Lucas with Sophie, learning to call her Mom, of my father in jail, my mother at Rachel's launch, my sister building her business on the ashes of my sacrifice, of everything I've lost in my quest for justice. Mills? Sarah's voice seems far away. What do you need? I need my son. I need my family to love me as much as they love their reputation. I need the past month to disappear. But what I say is, time. I need time. Because revenge was supposed to feel like victory. Instead, it feels like this. A hospital room, an empty bed, and the sound of my world crumbling while monitors count each hollow heartbeat. The boardroom feels different at midnight, colder. The city lights below cast shadows across Rachel's face as she stands at the window, her perfect posture finally showing cracks. They're freezing our accounts, she says without turning. All of them. The FBI says Father's fraud went deeper than anyone realized. I set my laptop on the conference table. I know. Now she does turn, mascara smudged beneath her eyes. Of course you do. You're the CEO now, aren't you? Everything you wanted. Not everything. My voice stays steady. Where's Lucas? Safe, with Sophie. She moves to the table, heels silent on the thick carpet. Mother's having another breakdown. The launch failed. Everything's falling apart and you're just watching. Like you watched when Ben left, when Lucas needed therapy, when Father gambled away his trust fund. Her hand trembles as she reaches for my laptop. If you help us, maybe we can fix... No. I close the laptop before she can touch it. I'm done fixing your messes. He's asking for you, she whispers. Lucas. He doesn't understand why Mommy's not coming home. The words hit like physical blows, but I grip the chair until my knuckles whiten. Ben's custody claim won't stand. Not now. What do you mean? I push a folder across the table. Sophie's pregnant, but not with Ben's baby. The dates don't match. And her new therapy program for Lucas, unlicensed, run by her cousin. The same cousin who's been helping Father hide money. Rachel sinks into a chair. How did you... I learned from the best. Family helps family, right? The elevator dings. Ben storms in, Sophie trailing behind him. You vindictive bitch. You told the FBI about Sophie's clinic? No. I stand slowly. I told them about the money laundering. The clinic was just a bonus. Sophie's face crumples. Ben, I'm sorry. I never meant... Shut up. He rounds on me. Where's the evidence? Already submitted, along with proof that you knew about Father's fraud when you filed for emergency custody, trying to hide Lucas before it all came out. His fist slams the table. Rachel flinches. Sophie backs away. You've ruined everything, he snarls. No. My voice rises. You did that. All of you. Every time you chose your reputations over my son. Every time you protected your perfect facade instead of protecting him. Mills. Jack appears in the doorway. They're here. FBI agents flood the room. Rachel starts crying. Sophie confesses everything in a rush. Ben threatens lawyers until handcuffs click around his wrists. Through it all, I stand still, watching my family's carefully constructed world crumble. Millie. Rachel catches my arm as they lead Ben away. Please, help me fix this. For a moment, I see us as children again. Rachel running to me after skinning her knee, trusting her big sister to make everything better. I can't. I gentle my voice. Some things shouldn't be fixed. Then why? Her grip tightens. Why did you wait until now? You had the evidence for weeks. Because I needed to know if any of you would choose Lucas. Just once. But you didn't. You never do. Sarah appears with Michael, who carries a sleeping Lucas. My heart stops, then restarts. The judge signed the order, Sarah says. Full custody reinstated. Sophie confessed to everything. Lucas stirs as Michael hands him to me. Mommy, can we go home now? Yes, baby. I kiss his forehead, breathing in his familiar scent. We're going home. Rachel watches, tears streaming. What happens to us? You rebuild, without me. I adjust Lucas in my arms. Some families aren't worth saving. Millie, goodbye, Rachel. I carry Lucas out, past the agents, past Sophie's tears and Ben's threats and the ruins of my father's empire. Sarah and Michael flank me like guards. Jack holds the elevator. You okay? He asks as we descend. Lucas snuggles closer, already falling back asleep. Safe. Finally safe. No, I answer honestly, but I will be, because revenge wasn't what I thought it would be. It wasn't loud or triumphant or satisfying. It was this: quiet choices in midnight boardrooms, truth instead of facades, the weight of my sleeping son in my arms, and maybe, finally, peace. The newspaper sits untouched on my desk. Father's sentencing hearing splashed across the front page. Rachel's text remains unread. Mother's asking for you. Please come home. Home. Such a simple word for such a complicated concept. Lucas bursts into my office, brandishing a drawing. Look, Mommy, it's our family. I study the crayon figures. Me, Lucas, Sarah, and Michael, their kids, Jack holding what appears to be a coffee cup. The edges of the paper are decorated with dinosaurs. It's beautiful, baby. I touch the empty corner. Is there room for more? He considers this seriously. Maybe. But only if they're nice. Miss Amy says we don't have to keep people who make us sad. Miss Amy, his new therapist, who specializes in art and doesn't care about what society thinks, who sees Lucas's sensitivity as a strength, not an embarrassment. Mills? Jack appears in the doorway. Rachel's here. Lucas grips my hand. Is she nice now? I don't know, baby. I squeeze his fingers. Want to help me find out? He nods solemnly. Rachel stands by the window, thinner than I remember, designer clothes replaced by simple jeans and a sweater. She turns when we enter, eyes fixing on Lucas. Hi, buddy, she says softly. Remember me? Lucas studies her, head tilted. You made Mommy cry. Rachel flinches. I did. I made a lot of mistakes. Mother's in therapy, she continues, addressing me now. Real therapy, not the kind we used to mock. Father's accepting a plea deal, and She swallows hard. I'm starting over. A small practice, helping families navigate custody battles, trying to prevent what we did to you. We? The word hangs between us. I knew about Sophie's clinic, about Ben's plans for Lucas. I could have stopped it, but I was so angry that you'd succeeded where I'd failed, that you'd built something real while I was still playing the role they chose for me. Lucas tugs my hand. Can I show her my drawing? I nod. He presents it proudly. Rachel traces the crayon figures. It's wonderful. You're very talented. There's room for more, he announces, but only if you're nice. A tear slides down Rachel's cheek. I'd like to try, if your mom lets me. I study my sister, really study her. The perfectionist facade has cracked, revealing something raw and real underneath. Something that might, with time and work, become authentic. Sunday dinners, I say finally. At Sarah and Michael's, once a month. We start there. She nods, understanding the terms, the boundaries, the chance that must be earned, not demanded. Can I? She hesitates. Can I hug him? I look at Lucas. He considers, then steps forward, offering a brief embrace before retreating to my side. Thank you, Rachel whispers. After she leaves, Lucas adds a small figure to his drawing's corner. That's Aunt Rachel, he explains, but I used yellow instead of red, because she's trying to be sunny instead of angry. I pin the drawing next to my degrees and awards, evidence of a different kind of success. Sarah texts, monthly dinner still on, Michael's grilling, Jack's bringing that woman from accounting. Lucas requested dinosaur-shaped nuggets. I smile, remembering Mother's horror at chicken nuggets on fine china, at therapy sessions instead of society parties, at a CEO who chooses finger paintings over family legacy. Another text arrives, from Ben's lawyer. Client accepts revised custody agreement. No appeals. Then Rachel. Thank you for the chance. I won't waste it. Finally, a message from an unknown number. Miss you, sis. Sophie. I delete the last one without responding. Some bridges stay burned. Lucas tugs my sleeve. Can we go home now? I want to show Miss Amy my new drawing tomorrow. Yes, baby. I gather my things, leaving the newspaper unread. Let's go home. Because revenge wasn't in the destruction after all. It was in the rebuilding. In choosing which walls to repair and which to leave in ruins. In teaching my son that family isn't about blood or obligation, but about the people who make space in their drawings for you. Even if that space starts small, in the corner, drawn in yellow instead of red.
The scent of lavender and pine sol always meant trouble. Mother Dearest was stress cleaning again, probably reorganizing my cabinets or rearranging Emma's toys for the 100th time. I should have known something was wrong when I pulled into the driveway and caught that familiar chemical smell wafting through the open windows. I'm Julia, and until today, I thought I had mastered the art of living with my mother-in-law, Martha. 6 months of practiced smiles, carefully chosen words, and strategic retreats to maintain peace in my own home. But sometimes peace comes at too high a price. Mommy! Emma crashed into my legs the moment I stepped through the door, her dark curls wild and untamed. Grandma Martha says we're having pizza for dinner. Does she now? I kept my voice light, though my stomach clenched. Another dinner decision made without my input. Another small rebellion against my authority in my own home. The house was spotless. Too spotless. Martha's cleaning frenzies usually meant she was building up to something. I found her in the living room, perched on the edge of the sofa like a bird of prey, hands folded primly in her lap. Julia, dear, how was your outing? The pause before outing carried enough judgment to fill a courtroom. The charity lunch was lovely, Martha. Thank you for watching Emma. I moved toward the bookshelf where I kept our family photo album, needing to add some pictures from today's event. The empty space where it should have been made, my heart skip. Looking for something? Martha's voice carried that sickly sweet tone she reserved for her special moments of triumph. The photo album. Oh, that old thing? She waved dismissively. I took the liberty of reorganizing your photographs. They were in such disarray. But while I was at it, I couldn't help but notice how few recent pictures you have of Emma. A mother should document every precious moment, don't you think? My fingers curled into fists. Where is it, Martha? She reached beside the sofa and produced a crisp white envelope. I've written down some thoughts about proper maternal documentation, and perhaps some other areas where a bit more attention might be beneficial. I snatched the envelope, my hands trembling as I pulled out the letter. Each perfectly penned word was a dagger. Dear Julia, as a mother myself, I feel compelled to address certain concerns regarding Emma's upbringing. Your frequent absences, 3 charity events this month alone, and lack of proper documentation of Emma's childhood moments suggest a troubling pattern of neglect. The letter went on, 2 pages of carefully crafted criticism disguised as concern. My photo album, the one containing every precious memory since Emma's birth, was being held hostage until I demonstrated more maternal responsibility. "Where is my album?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "Somewhere safe," Martha smiled, "until you've had time to reflect on my suggestions." Emma tugged at my sleeve. "Mommy, can we look at the pictures of my birthday?" I crouched down to her level, forcing a smile. "Not right now, sweetheart. Why don't you go play in your room while I talk to Grandma Martha?" After Emma disappeared upstairs, I turned to face my mother-in-law. "This ends now." "I'm only thinking of Emma's best interests," Martha said, rising from the sofa. "Someone has to." The front door opened and Ryan's voice called out, "I'm home early. Something smells amazing." Martha's face transformed instantly into a mask of maternal concern. "In here, darling. I was just having a heart-to-heart with Julia about some family matters." I watched her glide toward my husband, the letter crumpling in my grip. 6 months of subtle undermining, of questioning my every decision, of trying to drive a wedge between me and my daughter. But stealing my memories? That was her first real mistake, and I was done playing defense. Ryan's fork scraped against his plate, the sound grating against my nerves like fingernails on a chalkboard. He hadn't looked up once during Martha's theatrical recounting of her day with Emma. "And then," Martha continued, dabbing her lips with a napkin, "I showed Emma those lovely ballet videos from when you were young, Ryan. She was absolutely transfixed." "That's nice, Mom." Ryan's attention remained fixed on his phone, probably checking work emails again. I pushed my untouched pizza around the plate, the stolen photo album weighing heavy on my mind. "Emma, sweetie, how about we read that new library book before bed?" "Oh," Martha interjected, "I've already promised to read her the special book I bought today. It's about a little girl who lives with her grandmother. Isn't that right, precious?" Emma nodded, her eyes darting between Martha and me. The hesitation in her expression made my chest tighten. "Actually," I said, measuring each word, "I'd like to spend some time with my daughter before bed." Martha's smile didn't waver, but her knuckles whitened around her wine glass. "Julia, dear, you've had your outing today. Surely you can spare Emma for one bedtime story with her grandmother." "Ryan?" I turned to my husband, silently pleading for support. He finally looked up, confusion crossing his features. "What's the problem? Mom's just trying to help, Jules. You know how busy you've been lately with all these charity events." The betrayal stung worse than I expected. "I've attended exactly 3 events in 6 months, Ryan. 3. "Now, Julia," Martha's voice dripped with false concern. "There's no need to get defensive. We're all family here. Speaking of which, Ryan, did you know Julia missed Emma's dance class last week?" "I didn't miss," I started, but Martha steamrolled over my protest. "Emma was so disappointed when all the other mothers were there for the parent observation day." Ryan frowned. "Jules, you didn't mention that." "Because it wasn't parent observation day," I snapped. "That's next week. I have it marked on the calendar in the kitchen." Martha's eyes widened in practiced innocence. "Oh dear, did I get the dates mixed up? I could have sworn—" "Well, no matter. I was happy to step in regardless." Emma's small voice cut through the tension. "Mommy, my tummy hurts." I pushed back from the table, grateful for the excuse to escape. "Come on, sweetheart, let's get you upstairs." In Emma's bathroom, I held her hair back as she threw up the pizza. Martha appeared in the doorway, hovering like a concerned vulture. "Poor dear," she cooed. I knew that second slice was too much. "Julia, you really should monitor her portions more carefully." I bit back a retort, focusing instead on comforting Emma. "It's okay, baby. Mommy's here." "Perhaps," Martha suggested, "Emma should sleep in my room tonight. I have more experience with sick children, after all." "Absolutely not." The words came out sharper than I intended. "Julia!" Ryan's voice carried from the hallway. "Mom's just trying to help." I helped Emma rinse her mouth, my mind racing. This was Martha's game, death by 1,000 cuts, each small criticism and intervention designed to paint me as an incompetent mother. Later, after Emma had finally fallen asleep in her own bed, I found Ryan in his home office. "We need to talk about your mother." He sighed without looking up from his laptop. "Can we not do this tonight? I have a presentation tomorrow." "She took our photo album." "What?" That got his attention. She's holding it hostage until I prove I'm a better mother. Ryan rubbed his temples. Jules, that doesn't even make sense. Mom wouldn't. Check her room, I challenged. Right now. I'll wait. He stared at me for a long moment before standing. Fine, but when we don't find anything, I want you to drop this attitude toward my mother. I followed him to Martha's door, where we found it locked, a first since she'd moved in. Ryan knocked. Mom? You awake? Just a moment, darling. Martha's voice was followed by suspicious rustling sounds. When she opened the door, her smile was too bright, too rehearsed. Behind her, I caught a glimpse of something familiar being hastily shoved under her pillow, the corner of a blue album cover I would recognize anywhere. Ryan saw it too. His shoulders tensed, but before he could speak, Martha launched into a story about feeling unwell and needing her rest. As we walked away, I watched my husband's face carefully. The crack in his perfect image of his mother was tiny, but it was there, and I intended to make it bigger. The email from Emma's school glowed accusingly on my phone screen. My daughter had been enrolled in 3 new after-school activities: advanced math tutoring, competitive gymnastics, and Chinese lessons. I hadn't signed up for any of them. My brother David set a steaming cup of coffee in front of me. We were hiding out in his restaurant's back office, the only place I could think straight anymore. Show me that email again. I handed him my phone. The enrollment forms were signed last week, while I was at that dentist appointment. Jesus, David muttered, scrolling through the message. Martha's got some nerve, signing Emma up for all this without telling you. She used Ryan's email address. He probably hasn't even noticed the confirmations coming in. I wrapped my hands around the coffee mug, trying to stop them from shaking. You should see Emma, David. She's exhausted, 6 years old and scheduled down to the minute. Have you told Ryan? He's barely home. When he is, Martha's always there, hovering, controlling the narrative. The coffee burned my tongue, but I welcomed the pain. This morning, she told him I forgot to pack Emma's lunch. I didn't forget. She hid the lunch I made and packed her own. A knock at the office door made me jump. One of David's waitresses poked her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but there's a call for Julia. Says it's about Emma. My heart stopped. I grabbed the phone from David's desk. Hello? Mrs. Harrison? This is Nurse Chen from Riverside Elementary. Emma's feeling unwell. She got dizzy during her lunch break and... Dizzy? Is she okay? She's resting now. Your mother-in-law is already here to pick her up. No! The word exploded from me. Do not release my daughter to anyone but me. I'm on my way. I found them in the nurse's office. Martha perched on the edge of Emma's cot, stroking her hair. My daughter's face was pale, dark circles under her eyes that no 6-year-old should have. Julia, Martha's voice dripped concern. You didn't need to leave your... Whatever you were doing, I had everything under control. Emma, baby, how are you feeling? I knelt beside the cot, opposite Martha. Tired, Mommy. My head hurts. Of course she's tired, Martha said. Children need structure, discipline. These new programs will help build her character. Programs you signed her up for without my knowledge or consent. Martha's eyes narrowed. Ryan agreed. Ryan doesn't know, does he? You forged the signatures, used his email, just like you've been going through my phone, deleting messages from the school. I don't know what you're talking about. But her hand tightened on Emma's shoulder, making my daughter wince. Let go of her. Julia, you're being hysterical. This is exactly why I said, let go of my daughter. Nurse Chen appeared in the doorway, sensing the tension. Is everything all right? No, I said, pulling out my phone. It's not. I'm calling my husband. Martha's composure cracked. He's in an important meeting. About his daughter being in the nurse's office? About you forging his signature? Let's see what he thinks is important. I dialed, holding Martha's gaze. 1 ring, 2, 3. Jules, I'm kind of in the middle of something. Emma's in the nurse's office. She collapsed from exhaustion because your mother enrolled her in 3 extra programs without our permission. She forged your signature, Ryan, used your email. Check your deleted folders. You'll find the confirmations she tried to hide. Silence. Then, Mom did what? Martha was already gathering her things, backing toward the door. Ryan, darling, I can explain. But Ryan's voice had changed, hardened. Don't move, Mom. Jules, take Emma home. I'm leaving work now. I lifted Emma into my arms, her small body too light, too fragile. Martha blocked the doorway. This isn't over, she whispered, low enough that only I could hear. You have no idea what you're doing. No, Martha, I replied, feeling Emma's arms tighten around my neck. For the first time, I know exactly what I'm doing. As I carried Emma to the car, I felt something shift inside me. This wasn't just about the photo album anymore. This was war, and Martha had just lost her first major battle, but the look in her eyes told me she wasn't done fighting, not by a long shot. The box appeared on our doorstep 3 days after the school incident. No return address, just Emma's name in Martha's perfect cursive. Inside lay my wedding dress, carefully cut into precise, methodical strips. I stood in the kitchen, holding the mutilated silk, when Ryan came home early. His face darkened at the sight. Mom's gone too far. He ran his fingers through his hair. I'll talk to her. Like you talked to her about the forged signatures? The words came out sharper than intended. She apologized, you accepted, and nothing changed. What do you want me to do, Jules? Throw her out? The front door opened before I could respond. Martha's voice carried from the hallway, accompanied by Emma's excited chatter. And then we can show Daddy your wonderful news. Ryan frowned. What news? Martha swept in, brandishing a piece of paper. Emma's been accepted into St. Catherine's Academy. Isn't it wonderful? My stomach dropped. St. Catherine's was 2 hours away. It's a boarding school, Martha continued, beaming. The same one Ryan attended. I took the liberty of submitting an application months ago, and they've offered her a full scholarship. Ryan took the acceptance letter, his expression unreadable. Mom, we never discussed... Of course, I knew Julia might object, Martha cut in, given her attachment issues. But Emma deserves the best education possible. Don't you agree? Emma tugged at my sleeve. Grandma says they have horses, Mommy. I crouched down to her level, fighting to keep my voice steady. Sweetie, why don't you go upstairs and start your homework? We need to talk about this as adults. Once Emma was gone, I turned to Martha. You had no right. I had every right. Martha's mask slipped, revealing something cold beneath. As a grandmother, as a former educator, as someone who wants more for Emma than this. She gestured dismissively at our home. Ryan, I said quietly, your mother just tried to send our daughter to boarding school without consulting us. Are you going to say anything? He stood there, still holding the acceptance letter, looking lost. It is a good school, Jules. Something inside me shattered. I need some air. I grabbed my keys, the shredded wedding dress still clutched in my other hand. Julia, don't be dramatic, Martha called after me. This is exactly why Emma needs proper guidance. I slammed the door on her words. 20 minutes later, I sat in David's office again, spreading the strips of my wedding dress across his desk. She's trying to take Emma. My voice sounded strange, distant. And Ryan, he's actually considering it. David examined one of the silk strips. This is a threat, Julia. She's showing you what she can do to your marriage, your family. I know. I picked up a piece of the dress, remembering how proud Martha had been at the wedding, all smiles and tears. She's been playing the long game. Every criticism, every helpful suggestion, every time she undermined my decisions, it was all leading to this. What are you going to do? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed, a text from Ryan. Come home, please, we need to talk. Another buzz, this time from an unknown number. I opened it and felt my blood freeze. Photos of me, taken without my knowledge over the past week, at David's restaurant, running errands, meeting my friend Sarah for coffee. The final image showed me embracing David outside his restaurant, the angle making our innocent hug appear intimate. A message followed. What would Ryan think about his wife's afternoon activities? Perhaps Emma really would be better off at boarding school. David read the messages over my shoulder and swore. That's it. We're going to the police. No, I stood up, something hardening inside me. Martha wants to play games? Fine. But she forgot something important. What's that? I gathered the strips of my wedding dress, each piece a reminder of Martha's escalating war against me. I'm not just fighting for my marriage anymore. I'm fighting for my daughter, and unlike Martha, I don't need to play dirty to win. Julia. I'm going home, I said, my voice steady for the first time in days. It's time to show Ryan exactly who his mother really is. The antique vase shattered against the hardwood floor, its pieces scattering like broken promises. I stood frozen in the hallway, watching Martha's performance begin. Emma! Her voice carried upstairs. Come down here this instant! I'd been heading to the kitchen when I'd overheard her whispered phone conversation. Of course I have a plan. When Julia confronts me about the photos, I'll make sure Emma takes the blame for something valuable. Then we'll see who's the responsible parent. The sound of Emma's footsteps pulled me back to the present. My daughter appeared at the top of the stairs, still in her pajamas. What happened? Emma's voice trembled. Martha's face twisted into a mask of stern disappointment. Did you knock over great-grandmother's vase while running in the house? The one I specifically told you to be careful around? I didn't. Emma was in her room, I said, stepping forward. I've been standing here the whole time. Martha's eyes narrowed. Julia, please. I saw her running past just moments ago. That's interesting. I pulled out my phone, showing the video I'd started recording the moment I heard her plan. Because I saw something very different. The color drained from Martha's face. You were spying on me? Mom, what's going on? Ryan appeared from his home office, drawn by the commotion. Martha's tears appeared on cue. Oh, Ryan, I was just trying to teach Emma about responsibility. And Julia? She's trying to turn everyone against me. By breaking your own vase? I played the video. Martha's voice filled the hallway. When Julia confronts me about the photos. What photos? Ryan asked. Martha lunged for my phone. I stepped back, letting her momentum carry her forward. She stumbled, catching herself against the wall. The ones she took of me without my consent. I pulled up the threatening messages. The ones she used to suggest I was having an affair with my own brother. Ryan took my phone, scrolling through the messages. His jaw tightened. Mom? She's twisting everything. Martha's voice rose hysterically. I was protecting you, protecting Emma. Julia's been sneaking around, meeting that brother of hers in secret. For coffee, I cut in. At his restaurant, in public. Because my own home hasn't felt safe since you moved in. Emma's small voice broke through the tension. Grandma broke the vase. I saw her from upstairs. Martha spun toward Emma. Darling, you're confused. You know how your mother fills your head with... Don't! Ryan's voice was ice. Don't you dare try to manipulate my daughter. Ryan, sweetheart. The boarding school application? He advanced toward his mother. The deleted emails, the forged signatures, and now this? Martha's facade cracked. Everything I did for this family. Julia's not good enough for you, can't you see that? She's turning Emma soft, making her weak. The only weakness I see, Ryan said quietly, is your grip on reality. I gathered Emma into my arms, feeling her tremble. Go pack a bag, sweetheart. We're going to spend a few days at Uncle David's. No one is going anywhere, Martha blocked the stairs. This is my family. I won't let you destroy it. Your family? Ryan's laugh was hollow. You've been destroying it piece by piece since you moved in. The photo album, Julia's wedding dress, and now this? You're the one tearing us apart. The wedding dress? Martha's smile turned cruel. She deserved it. Parading around like she belongs here, like she's worthy of the Harrison name. That's enough. Ryan pulled out his phone. I'm calling a car service. Pack your things, Mom. You're moving into a hotel tonight. Martha's mask shattered completely. You can't do this to me. I'm your mother. And I'm your son, watching you try to destroy my wife and traumatize my child. Ryan's voice broke. I chose this family. My family. It's time for you to leave. As Martha stormed upstairs, hurling threats and accusations, I held Emma closer. The broken vase glittered around us like the remnants of Martha's control, finally shattered beyond repair. But in the fragments, I saw something else. The reflection of my family, stronger in their brokenness, ready to rebuild without Martha's poisonous influence. The war wasn't over. Martha's retreat would only make her more dangerous. But for the first time, we were fighting together. The hotel lobby gleamed with polished marble and false promises. Martha sat across from us, perfectly composed in her designer suit, while a team of lawyers arranged papers on the mahogany table between us. "It's quite simple," her lead attorney said. "Either Emma attends St. Catherine's or Mrs. Harrison will pursue full grandparental rights." Ryan's hand tightened around mine. "You can't be serious." "Oh, but I am." Martha's smile never reached her eyes. "I've documented everything. Julia's erratic behavior, her suspicious meetings, her attempts to alienate Emma from her family heritage." "By family heritage, you mean you," I said. Martha's lawyer slid forward a thick folder. "We have witness statements from Emma's teachers about Julia's frequent absences from school events, documentation of emotional manipulation, evidence of an inappropriate relationship with her brother." "Those pictures were taken out of context," Ryan snapped. "You orchestrated all of this." "Did I?" Martha leaned forward. "Or did I simply observe a mother who's clearly unfit? The courts tend to favor stability, tradition, a prestigious boarding school education versus, what exactly? Afternoon cartoons and takeout dinners?" I stared at the legal documents, my vision blurring. Months of Martha's careful groundwork spread before us, altered dates on photographs, carefully edited text messages, statements from concerned neighbors she'd cultivated. "You've been planning this since you moved in," I whispered. "I've been protecting my granddaughter." Martha's mask slipped, revealing something desperate underneath. "Ryan, darling, surely you see that Emma deserves better, the same opportunities you had?" "I was miserable at boarding school," Ryan said quietly. "You were challenged, shaped into success." Martha's voice hardened. "Julia's making Emma soft, dependent. Just look at how the child clings to her. Because I'm her mother. For now." Martha nodded to her lawyer, who produced another document. "We are prepared to be generous. Joint custody, with Emma attending St. Catherine's. Or we can make this very public, very messy. Your choice." Ryan started to speak, but his phone buzzed. He checked it, his face draining of color. "What is it?" I asked. "She's—" He turned the phone toward me. On the screen, a news article showed David's restaurant, emergency vehicles crowding the street. The headline read, "Local restaurant shut down, health code violations." "Tragic timing," Martha said softly. "One might question the judgment of someone who associates with such questionable business practices. My brother's livelihood, destroyed in minutes, because of me, because he tried to help." "You're destroying everyone I love," I said. "No, Julia. You did that yourself by trying to come between me and my family." Martha stood, smoothing her jacket. "You have 24 hours to decide. Emma's future at St. Catherine's, or a very public custody battle that will expose every flaw, every mistake, every secret you've tried to hide." She paused at the door. "Oh, and Julia? I found your photo album. The memories you tried so desperately to preserve, they're gone now, just like everything else will be, unless you make the right choice." After she left, Ryan and I sat in silence, the weight of her ultimatum crushing us. "We could fight," he said finally, "and risk losing Emma completely." I pulled out my phone, showing him the latest text from David. "Health inspectors came out of nowhere. Everything's gone, Jules. Everything." "Julia?" "No." I stood up, my decision crystallizing like ice in my veins. "I won't let her destroy anyone else I love." "What are you saying?" I picked up the boarding school acceptance papers, my hands steady despite the trembling in my heart. "I'm saying we send Emma to St. Catherine's, and then..." "Then what?" I thought of my shredded wedding dress, my burned photos, my brother's ruined business. Then I stopped playing by Martha's rules. She wants to teach Emma about family heritage? Fine. Let's show her what happens when you declare war on the wrong family. Ryan stared at me, seeing something new in my eyes, something that made him lean back slightly. Good. because the woman who walked into this hotel was dead now, killed by Martha's final power play. And the one walking out? She had nothing left to lose. St. Catherine's Academy loomed before us, all Gothic spires and ivy-covered walls. Martha stood at the top of the stone steps, waiting to welcome her victory. Behind her, a photographer from the local paper adjusted his camera. "Right on schedule," Martha called out. "Emma, darling, come to grandmother." I kept hold of Emma's hand, Ryan flanking our other side. The manila envelope in my bag felt heavy with purpose. "Julia," Martha's smile tightened, "you're not planning to make a scene, are you? Think of the headlines." "Oh, I am." I handed Emma's bag to Ryan and climbed the steps. In fact, I brought some headline suggestions of my own. Martha's lawyer emerged from the shadows. "Mrs. Harrison, remember our agreement? The agreement's void." I pulled out my phone, dialing a number. "David, you're on speaker." My brother's voice filled the space between us. "Got the evidence right here, Jules. Health inspector confirmed it. Someone paid him to target the restaurant. Bank transfers, text messages, all trace back to a certain retired teacher's account." Martha's face hardened. "Lies." "Then there's this." I produced the manila envelope. "Remember Mrs. Chen? Emma's nurse? Turns out she keeps excellent records, including the time you tried to convince her Emma was being neglected at home. I was protecting... and these..." More papers spilled out. "Your financial records. Every bribe, every manipulated situation, every person you paid to spy on me. Did you really think I'd just surrender?" The photographer started snapping pictures. Martha lunged for him. "Stop that!" "Why?" I asked. "Isn't this what you wanted? Public attention? Let's give them a real story. How a respected teacher orchestrated a campaign of harassment against her daughter-in-law. How she destroyed a local business, manipulated medical records, all to gain control of her granddaughter." "You wouldn't dare," but fear had crept into Martha's voice. "I'll ruin you." "You already tried." Ryan stepped forward, Emma secure in his arms. "But here's what's going to happen instead. You're going to drop this custody threat. You're going to publicly apologize to Julia and David. And you're going to disappear from our lives." "Or what?" I held up my phone. "Or every newspaper in the state gets proof of your crimes. Every parent at your precious St. Catherine's learns what kind of woman you really are. Your reputation, your social standing, your whole carefully constructed image, gone. You can't prove? The nurse recorded your conversation, Martha. The health inspector kept his text messages. And your financial records?" I smiled. Let's just say Ryan isn't the only one good with numbers. Martha's lawyer quietly gathered his papers and retreated. The photographer kept shooting, capturing her unraveling moment by moment. "I am your mother," she hissed at Ryan. "No." He met her gaze steadily. "You're a woman who forgot that love isn't about control, that family isn't about power. Emma deserves better than your kind of legacy." "Mommy?" Emma's voice cut through the tension. "Can we go home now?" Martha made one last desperate grab for her granddaughter. I stepped between them, my voice low enough for only her to hear. "You took my photos, my memories. You tried to take my daughter. But you forgot something crucial, Martha. You taught Ryan everything he knows about power plays and manipulation. And I learned from watching you, too." "This isn't over," she whispered. "Actually, it is." I turned to the photographer. "I believe you have enough for your story. Respected teacher's attempted kidnapping scheme exposed should make quite a headline." Martha's face crumpled as she finally recognized her defeat. All her careful plans, her manipulations, her power, useless against the simple truth she'd tried to bury. Love doesn't need schemes or control. It just needs to be real. As we walked away, Emma's hand warm in mine, Ryan's arm steady around us both, I heard Martha's broken whisper behind us. "What have you done?" I didn't turn around. She already knew the answer. I'd done exactly what she taught me to do. Protect my family at any cost. The difference was, I'd won by telling the truth, not by burying it. And that would haunt her more than any revenge I could have planned. The small box arrived on a Tuesday, addressed to Emma in Martha's unmistakable handwriting. I turned it over in my hands, feeling its negligible weight, while Ryan watched from across the kitchen table. "We could throw it away," he offered. I shook my head. She deserves to choose. Emma sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by the art supplies from her 7th birthday party last week. She barely glanced at the package. "Is it from Grandma Martha?" "Yes, sweetheart." She returned to her drawing. "I don't want it." Ryan and I exchanged looks. In the 3 months since St. Catherine's, Martha's carefully constructed world had crumbled. The newspaper story had exposed everything: the bribes, the manipulation, the orchestrated campaign against our family. She'd retreated to a small apartment across town, her social circle evaporating as quickly as her reputation. "Maybe we should see what it is," I suggested, though part of me wanted to burn it unopened. Emma shrugged, so I carefully unwrapped the package. Inside lay my missing photo album, its blue cover faded but intact. A note rested on top. I kept them safe. With trembling fingers, I opened the album. Every photo was there, perfectly preserved. Emma's birth, her first steps, family vacations and quiet moments at home. Martha hadn't destroyed them after all. "Look, Emma." I knelt beside her. "These are all our memories." She finally looked up, her small fingers tracing a photo of herself as a toddler. "Why did Grandma Martha take them?" "Sometimes," Ryan said, joining us on the floor, "people do wrong things because they're afraid of losing what they love." "Did she love us wrong?" "Yes," I answered, surprising myself with the gentleness in my voice. "But that doesn't mean we have to love wrong in return." Emma considered this, then reached for her art supplies. She selected a recent photo from her birthday party, one showing her blowing out candles while Ryan and I watched, David capturing the moment on his new camera. Carefully, she pasted it into the album's final empty page. "There," she declared. "Now it's finished properly." The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw David's car in the driveway. He'd been coming over more often since reopening his restaurant, bringing food and stories and the kind of laughter we'd almost forgotten how to share. "Uncle David!" Emma ran to greet him. I started to close the album, but Ryan caught my hand. "We could send her a copy," he said quietly, "of Emma's birthday photo." "Why?" "Because you won." He squeezed my fingers. "You protected our family without becoming what she feared you were. Maybe that's worth acknowledging." I thought about Martha, alone in her apartment, surrounded by the consequences of her choices. "Would you have sent her away if I hadn't gathered the evidence?" "I don't know." His honesty was like a balm. "But I'm grateful you showed me the truth, even when it hurt." David appeared in the doorway, Emma on his hip. "Who's ready for my new pasta recipe, and why does my favorite niece have glitter in her hair?" "I'm your only niece," Emma giggled. As they headed to the kitchen, I picked up the photo album, weighing its history in my hands. The last page caught my eye, Emma's birthday photo, but something else too. She'd drawn around it, creating a frame of hearts and stars. And at the bottom, in her careful first-grade handwriting, my family. No mention of who was missing, no space left empty for what was lost, just the simple truth of who remained, who chose to love right instead of hold tight. I took a fresh envelope from Ryan's desk and slipped the birthday photo inside. On a small card, I wrote only, "Emma's 7th birthday. She's happy. No accusations, no triumph, just an offered moment, a glimpse of the joy Martha had tried too hard to control." Whether she'd understand it as mercy or torment, I couldn't say. But as I sealed the envelope, I realized it didn't matter anymore. We had our memories back, but more importantly, we were making new ones, better ones. Ones where love didn't need to be earned or proved, it just needed to be given, freely and without conditions. That would be our legacy to Emma. And maybe, somewhere in her solitude, Martha would finally understand what she'd lost by trying to possess it instead.